Alright, what's up guys, welcome back to my channel, and for today's video we will look at the Grand Mafia again. And there's a couple of comments and viewers saying that they want some sort of guide on super weapons, and here it is. I've been studying super weapons for quite a while, and there's still a little bit of like information that I'm not very sure, but I've kind of gotten a hang of like what weapon gives you what kind of advantages, and even the rarity kind of makes a lot of difference because there are some weapons that have almost similar. I think for the elite and the grand weapons they're kind of similar because the grand weapons have stronger buffs. So if you got a lot of grand weapons and you can upgrade your star levels for your grand weapons, of course go ahead and upgrade your grand weapons. Yeah, and before I start this video, I'll be letting you know some of the super weapons and why people use it. And yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into the video. And first up, we'll take a look at the modification center. That's where we'll get to see all of our weapons. And there are a total of 10 grand weapons, 6 elite weapons, and 3 rare, 3 uncommon weapons. The common thing about the uncommon and the rare weapons is that all of these weapons sort of debuffs your enemy. So for the uncommon weapons, all of these 3 weapons, the M70, M19, 16 and the Mac 11, they kind of like debuff your enemies troops health. So what I mean is by bruiser HP, decrease hitman, and of course decrease biker health. So for the rare guns, they'll basically decrease the crew HP, crew attack, crew defense for your enemies buffs. So this is kind of the logic. The rare and the uncommons are mainly to debuff your enemy units, and for the elite and the grands, they are mostly, almost all of it is meant to buff your troops, buff your crew attack, buff whatever stats you have, and also to give you better enforcer attack, targeting different like squads. So it gets a little bit complicated because there's a lot of like mechanics you have to think about it. When will the enforcer skill activate, and what are the percentages that you activate all these kind of skills. But I've kind of narrowed my scope and thinking of the super weapons. And before I get into that, there's 2 weapons out of the grand and the, I think it's only the grand, 2 grand weapons which sort of like debuffs your enemy, or kind of like is on a defensive stance rather than buffing your own troops. So the 2 weapons are, the first one is the M82. So what it does is that it decreases your target enemy squad damage. So that's kind of a debuff, but also kind of like buff your units, 30% chance to buff your squad attack. And the second one is the stun grenade, which is the M7290. So majority of this is basically to deal a little bit more damage, 18% squad damage for my current star level. And the good thing about this stun grenade is that it stuns the enemy squad for 5 seconds, which is quite a long time. So what you mean, or there's a lot of this talking about like buffing your enforcer squad, attacking random enemy squad. So all this squad is basically referring to formations, and for each attacking formations there are like different like squads which your enforcers will take care of. So each of these like little 1, 2, 3, 4 is a squad. So basically the super weapon kind of like buffs your squad or kind of attacks enemy squad, those kind of things. So these are just some of the attacking mechanics of these super weapons, and it can be quite difficult to understand if you're a new player, or even if you're a player who rarely attacks people. And I think there are both pros and cons for all of these like super weapons. The pros for those like with straight buffs, like crew attack buffs, like buffs your army straight, for example crew defense and HP. So this weapon basically straight away buffs the start of the battle, so you don't really have to worry about like RNG. If your enforcer kind of like 50% chance of activating this to get additional squad damage, so you don't have to worry about that, and it's kind of like standard throughout the battle. But for cases where it really relies on like the enforcer squad, or this one is also like similar to at the beginning of battle, you just buff random squad, so this is not included. So this is example activates when the enforcer uses their skill, 50% chance to deal 48% of enforcer squad damage to a random, to one extra random enemy squad. So what I'm thinking is that the super weapon overall balances out, because this like enforcer related skills or activation will over time deal more damage to enemies, but at the same time you're at the mercy of if these like special little thing like special percentages RNG, if it doesn't activate, it's kind of like useless, not as helpful. So you really have to see what kind of play style you want. And usually I see people do a mix of like increasing their crew attack and also like crew defense and HP with increasing like enforcer squad damage buffs. But you can also go full standard buffs to combine it with like elite weapons, where the elite weapons also have like increases crew health, start of battle, increased defense, increased attack. So it really depends on your playstyle and how strong your enforcers are, but generally the enforcers are the strongest when you have them at grand. So it doesn't matter what kind of premium enforcer you have, free enforcer, they all would have the maximum battle skills buff. So for example, let me just show you like Booba is a free enforcer, and under battle skill, this is the only skill that activates during battle, which is 200% of your biker squad attack. And this 200% is standard throughout every single enforcer depending on what is their main enforcer squad. So for Booba is bikers, for Red Thorn is bikers, for Tengu is hitman, for El Santo is bruisers. So all of this is standard, and you don't have to care about all these like the bottom stats, which is only applicable in campaign. So I've broken it down, make it easier for you guys to understand that only this first buff is relevant, the others are irrelevant. Yeah, so I've come down to what is the best weapon, and I don't think that it's the best weapon. There is only what you want to achieve in your battle. And of course, if you want to say a best weapon, because everything is dependent on your squad's attack, naturally if you are a crazy whale player which have crazy stats, then I would say that most of your super weapons should be targeted towards the enforcer skill, because your enforcer squad attack is very high. So I don't think you will need any additional like crew attack buffs, but usually the really strong players do have like one or two of them inside, but the rest of the enforcers have those like skill based super weapons. And we'll take a look at one of the replays of Michael versus Captain Levy. And when the battle begins, you see the weapons that appear first. They are the standard crew buffs at the start of the battle, and the one that is paired with the enforcer are the weapons that has specific enforcer attack or squad attack damage to your enemy units. So as you can see, usually for stronger players they will have at least 3 of these, like usually they have 3 of these weapons which accompanies the enforcer to deal more damage towards enemy squads. Because these super weapons are already in accordance to whatever like squad attacks that they have, the stronger players usually tend to gravitate towards having these like equipping these super weapons which have the skill based, increasing enforcer squad damage and attack. Yeah, and we'll take a look at the super weapons. And for Michael, we'll see that he uses a crew attack buff, crew HP buff, and crew attack buff. The other 2 is skill based. So he just want to kind of like reduce the stat difference, because Captain Levy, if you have not fought with him, his stats is insane. I've not seen anything like it. So let's move on to Captain Levy. And for Captain Levy, we have the Uzi, which is a super weapons skill buff, crew attack, which is quite standard. Usually players will want the crew buff, another few more enforcers, and yep, another crew buff, which usually the stronger players will have a standard like full grand crew attack and full grand crew defense plus HP weapons, and the rest will be enforcer skill rated super weapons. Yeah, so that's it for the little demonstration, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and learn more about super weapons. I'm also on this learning journey, and if you think or there's some like discrepancy with my explanation, or there's actually a different gaming mechanic, do leave it down in my comment section below and I'll be happy to hear it. I want to learn more about how the super weapons work as well. So if you do have more knowledge, yeah, just let me know and I will take a look. And yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys again real soon.